All right, so quick rundown, everything you're gonna need to get started. Masking tape, spray bottle with water, sandpaper, uh, rubbing compound and polishes, um, ceramic coats, and sealant to protect the headlights when you're all done. So, very important step, mask off your headlights, mask off the vehicle so that when you're sanding, because this is a huge part, is sanding. Mask everything off that around the headlights so you don't scratch your paint when you're sanding. If you don't do this, you're gonna scratch your paint and it's gonna be terrible and you're gonna hate life. Don't mess up your paint. Tape it up. Tape it up very well. Everything around the headlight, directly around the headlight that you're not going to be sanding. And trust me, you will save your vehicle. It's a must. Do not skip this step. Okay? Number 2, all right, sandpaper. Now, you have to sand, you have to wet sand. That's what the bottle is for. You're gonna wash the headlights very well, okay? Soap and water, wash them off, dry them off really well so that you have a nice clean surface to start with, because if you don't and you start sanding and they're dirty, you're gonna sand the dirt into the headlights and you're gonna scratch it really bad and you're not gonna be able to fix it. You're gonna ruin them. So do a good job, prep as well as you can, because that's gonna save you in the end. So you clean the headlights, you masked off the headlights. So now we're gonna get to work. Okay, how bad are your headlights? Are they terrible? Are they so bad that you can't even see light coming out? Or are they kind of hazed over like the EHP truck was? So that's gonna tell you your starting point. Let's say they're terrible. They're absolutely disgusting. I've had to go down to 400 grit before. I've used 400. I've used 500. The lower the number, the more abrasive it is. So basically, if your headlights are really bad, you need to start with a lower number, because the higher numbers are very fine and they're not gonna get all of the gunk off, all of that yellowish haze. It's not gonna come off completely. So I'd say if they're absolutely terrible, try a 500 or 800. Because you also, at the same time, you don't want to go too low unless you absolutely have to, because you have to understand, this is sandpaper, okay? So this is 220 on front here. It's very, very rough. So look at the 400. So you can see 400, it's very rough, okay? So you're sanding your headlights. You are sanding them. So if you go too low, it's more work to come back all the way up, because you have to go in steps. You have to go from 400 all the way up to a fine grit to smooth out all the bad scratches. So it is a lot of work, but it is definitely worth it in the end. Definitely easier if you have a nice drill with the attachments for the sandpapers, the circle disc sandpaper discs. I do not. The 1-inch ones are not easy to come by, and I feel like they don't work very well. So I always end up going back to hand doing it, and they always come out better. So, but that personal preference, I'm still trying to find a better way to do it with a drill. But also, some headlights are so small that you can't even fit a big disc. You know, this is a 1-inch disc, and some drills are 2-inch, and some drills are some headlights are so small that you can't even fit this on there without scratching the other surfaces, and you don't want to do that. So it's easier by hand, because you can mold it to your hand and, you know, just use a little finger in the small areas and so on and so forth. So back to the headlights. So if it's a really bad headlight, I say start at 500 or 800. You're gonna wet sand it, okay? So you're gonna spray it. You're gonna keep it wet. All you're doing is sanding and keeping it wet at the same time. That's all you're doing. You're gonna watch for milky material, okay? White, or not white, yellow milk. That's what's gonna come off. So when you're sanding, when you're wet sanding, and you see the yellow milk, you're doing a good job. You're taking off all of the bad stuff. It's all getting removed, okay? And you want to go in one motion. So side to side or up and down. Pick one motion, one direction. So it depends on the headlight. Most of them are easier to go horizontally, but some, depending on the headlight, it's easier to go vertically. But pick one direction and you're gonna sand it, okay? You're gonna keep wet sanding and you're gonna watch all that yellow milk coming off. So keep washing it off, keep sanding. Once you get past the yellow milk, it'll turn to white. Once it gets to white, you're pretty much through all of the nasty gunk crap. Periodically, you're gonna need to stop wet sanding, dry it off, wait for it to completely dry, and you can see the scratches. So you wanna see a nice uniform scratched surface. It's gonna look terrible, it's gonna scare you. You're gonna wanna pee in your pants and call your mom, but that means you did a good job. It's gonna look absolutely terrible, but if it's a uniform sand, you did a good job. So your 500 is done. So now you need to step it up, okay? We gotta get these scratches down to a fine scratch. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to buff out these really gritty scratches. They're gonna be thick and deep and nasty. So you gotta work your way up to 2,000. You could even go up to 3,000 if you want. So these are really bad headlights we're talking about, right? So we need to start lower. So we're gonna have a few steps. So I would recommend if you started at 500, I would probably go 500 and then 800 and then 1,200 and then 2,000. That's right. You're gonna go over 4 different times, sanding the same way. Everything is gonna stay the same. You're gonna watch the milk, and you're gonna watch till it gets white. You're gonna wipe it down and let it dry and look and see if it's uniform. All of that with every step, all the way up. Why? Because what you're doing is you're taking these 500 grit scratches and you're turning them into 1,200 grit scratches as you work your way up. So the 500 to the 800, right? So they get a little thinner, okay? And then you go from 8 to 12. And they get a little thinner, and then you go from 12 to maybe 1,500, a little thinner, and then 1,500 to 2,000. Now they're very thin, right? So now the surface is still extremely scratched, but when you dry it off at 2,000 is when you're gonna start noticing your work is paying off. When you get to this stage, this is when it all pays off right here. You're gonna wipe it off, and it's still gonna be scratched, but it's gonna look clearer, and you're gonna notice a huge difference. It's a lot more clear, and it's smooth. You rub your fingers over it once it's dry and you'll feel smoothness. If you don't feel smoothness, you feel roughness, you need to go back over it with whatever grit. So this is all the way through. You need to sand, wash it off, dry it, check it, make sure it looks good, make sure it's uniform, feel it for smoothness, and you'll see the ugly yellowish like peeling, like orange peel that's in the paint, or the headlights. You'll see it as you go through, so you'll know where you're at. But yeah, you need to do that all the way through. So yeah, again, once you get here, you're gonna see all your hard work is paid off. And it's still gonna be scratched because this is still sandpaper. We just sanded the crap out of the headlights. So once you get here and you're done, now we move on to step 2. Okay, so from here, dry it, wash it off good, get all the yellow gunk off that seeped around the headlight edges, and it's in the body. Get it out, completely dry the headlight. It needs to be completely dry at this point. So all around. Now you can even peel off the masking tape at this point if you want, and dry and then remask, so that you have dry masking, and then we can move on to step 2. Okay, now step 2, this is what I do. Okay, this is me. This is my the EHP way. This is what I've been doing for years. So this is how I do it. There's tons of different ways to do headlight restoration, but I like this way the most. So this is what I do on step 2. So once your headlights are extremely scratched, you need to get that that scratching out. And that's when we get to this rubbing compound here, okay? So this is extreme compound. This is chemical, guys, specifically V32 rubbing compound. So this stuff takes out scratches, okay? Let's see if it tells you. See, it can remove scratches down to 1200 to 1500 grit sanding paper. So this is a great compound. So it's according to this, it takes out scratches as deep as 1200 to 1500 grit. So technically that means you could stop at 1200 or 1500 and then go to this. I don't know how good that would work. It says it will. I believe it, but I always stop at 2000 just because you don't want to see scratching. So the higher grit you go, the better, because the easier the scratches come out with the compound. So that's, like I said, there's a lot of ways to do this. This is another process. This is a 4-step process right here. You see these 4 bottles? The V32, 34, 36, 38. They're all compounds and polishes. All right, so this is a rubbing compound, and this is the disc. It's an orange disc. You're gonna put just a little bit, a couple, like 5 dots all the way around here. Dab it on the headlight and start working it in. You're gonna see the difference. You want to work it in slow, right? So you're moving on the headlight, nice and slow, just to spread out the material evenly. Once it's all spread out on the headlight, it also helps prevent splashing from the spinning. Once it's all smoothed out and you got it, spread out evenly on the headlight, turn it on all the way and just start going back and forth, nice even back and forth. Now this is a Black & Decker, power drill. It's not too crazy. It doesn't have a ton of power. So the more power you have, you need to be careful because you could burn through your headlights. So I like this because it does the job and I don't have to worry. At max speed, I don't have to worry about it burning the headlight. It's not that fast, but it does a great job. So that works well for me. If you have the sanders, the big old sanders and stuff, fine. Just keep them on low RPM and move a lot. Just move evenly, rub this in good, and then take a step back, turn it off, and take a look at your work, and it's gonna look beautiful. Once you do this, you're gonna see what your headlights are gonna look like. So after this step, you're pretty much done. This is what the headlights are gonna look like when you're done with this. So if you feel that they're way too scratched still, or you see imperfections, well, you're gonna have to go back to this, depending on how bad they are. So if you do a good job here, when you get here, it will look beautiful. So you do this, wipe it off with the microfiber, and that's your end result basically. But you're not done. That's just to get the scratches out. You move on to this one I skipped because it's a hybrid compound, so it's like a polishing compound. So I already hit it with this compound, so I skipped this one, and then I went straight to 36, which is a cutting polish. So now we're polishing the headlights. So same thing, put it on, spread it around evenly, and then I hit it with this final polish. Put it on, same thing, put it on, spread it evenly, rub it in. That's your final result right here. You're done basically. Now, once you've done that, this is how I seal them. I used to use clear coat, plastic clear coat. I don't like it. I don't like the plastic clear coat. It only lasted about a year. The spray nozzle was insane. It would blast out like a fire hydrant, like a fire hose with only one guy holding it. Just insane amount of sealant or clear coat coming out of that bottle. So I went with this route. So this is Chemical Guy's Jet Seal. It's got UV protection. And it seals the paint. So run this, and this is what's going to be kind of like your clear coat. So you put this on, and it says it's good for a year. So once you do this, your headlights are supposed to be protected for a year. Now this is where I changed my process. This is my first time using this. So we're going to see how that works. I do have faith in it though, because I do like their product. I use all Chemical Guys product. No shameless plug, that's just honest truth. I love their stuff, so that's all I use. I have a whole arsenal of their stuff. It's just great stuff. I have no complaints yet, so I wanted to try this way because, like I said, the clear coat process, if you don't have a paint gun with a paint booth and you know, you want to mask up the whole car so you can clear coat the headlights, it's, you know, it's harder for people like us. So I don't do that part anymore. I don't like it. I don't like the spray bottles. I mean, I don't have a paint gun. I don't have a paint booth. I'm not gonna buy all that stuff, so I'm trying this way. So I have faith in this though. So this is gonna seal it, right? So we're back to the UV protection, because this is very important. If you don't do this after you polish, this is just a polish. There's no UV protection in here. So when you polish your headlights, they're gonna look great, but the yellow hazing is gonna come back eventually. Guaranteed, it will come back eventually. Don't know when, but it will, because there's no UV protection. You sanded off the UV protection. You sanded off the OEM clear coat, okay? That's what this step did, because the OEM clear coat got ate up by the sun. So now we sanded it off. So now we need to re-protect the headlights. This is just making them look clean. Now we got to protect them, and that's what this is going to do. So you put this on, okay? So now I did a lot of research on this. So you put this on, and you got a year's worth, right? See, up to 12 months of protection, advanced UV protection. So we're gonna test that out. We'll see what happens in a year. But the way I'm gonna do it is I'm put this on. So now I have my year, and then I'm also gonna put this on after every car wash. And this is a ceramic quick detailer. So this is also UV protectant, and it's just an extra layer of protection on the headlights. So because this stuff is good for a year, but you know, you got to wash your vehicles often, and every time you wash them, you know, that's you could be potentially removing some product. So this is going to be after every wash, and maybe even, it says to do in between washes, but I like taking care of the lights, so I'm just going to do this after every wash. This is just going to an extra layer of protection, because it's actually a ceramic quick detailer. So it's technically a ceramic coating on top of the UV protected coating. So it's double protected. And that's it. That's how you're going to do it. If you have any questions, DM me, message me, whatever. I'll help you guys out. But that's pretty much how I do it. I'll probably post more videos about this, maybe actually doing a set, but I don't know. We'll see. This isn't really the main focus of what I'm doing. I just I wanted to help you guys out, so I'm just gonna post this up, and just for the guys that are interested. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate the follow, support, and check out my website for car parts and lots of HIDs, LED lighting, light bars, and things like that. I have the best of the best in the business, guys. I mean, Jay's Racing, Buddy Club, NRG, Diode Dynamics, Morimoto. I got all the good stuff, guys. The best of the best. So yeah, give me a follow, and hit me up if you have any questions about anything, or any other DIYs you have any questions about. Maybe I can start making some more DIY videos. Thanks a lot, guys. Later.